Richard Childress Racing has a real problem right now, and the garage is not saying it out loud yet. Austin Hill, 2 wrecks, 2 straight weekends, 9 cars collected each time, 0 media appearances after the Cup crash at San Diego. SVG, on pole, running 3rd when the track finally came alive, 5 chase points gone into a concrete wall. He never put a scratch on himself. That is the nightmare, not the crash clip. Crashes happen every week in Cup racing. What does not happen every week is the same driver's name showing up twice in a row on the wrong side of a pileup report. SVG went on camera Tuesday and snapped, quietly, on purpose for the record. 2 weeks in a row, taken out by the same spud. He did not owe the garage an explanation. He gave one anyway. NASCAR did not hit full meltdown when the wreck footage dropped. It hit full meltdown when fans pulled up Pocono side by side with San Diego and realized this was already a pattern. The chase cut line is 5 points away. Sonoma is the last road course on the schedule. Subscribe, because what happens Sunday either closes this chapter or blows the whole thing open. That is exactly where this story needs to start. Richard Childress Racing handed Austin Hill one of the most emotionally loaded seats in Cup Series history. Kyle Busch built that number 33 program from scratch, won races in it, and never got the chance to finish what he started. When RCR renumbered the car and gave Hill the keys in June, the expectation from the garage was simple. Keep it respectful, keep it competitive, do not make the wrong kind of headlines. For about 12 hours in San Diego, Hill did exactly that. Then lap 32 happened and the entire weekend flipped. Before any of that though, you need to understand what Shane van Gisbergen brought to Naval Base Coronado last Sunday. This was not a driver showing up and hoping for a good result. SVG arrived at NASCAR's first ever Cup race on a military street circuit as the most dangerous road course package in the entire field. 7 road course wins in Cup, tied with Chase Elliott for the most in the modern era. Red Bull backing, Trackhouse racing infrastructure, and a car that his engineers had specifically built for the tight, unforgiving walls of a street circuit. He took pole on Saturday. Both he and teammate Connor Zilisch were running at the front from the opening laps. The Trackhouse program did not just look fast, it looked inevitable. Street circuits punish mistakes in a way that oval racing does not. There is no runoff area, the walls are concrete, and they are close. Every driver in that field knew walking into race day that a restart at the front of a street circuit is one of the highest risk moments in motorsport. One locked brake, one missed apex, and the chain reaction does not stop until the red flag comes out. SVG knew that. His engineers knew that, which is why on the lap 32 restart, running 3rd with genuine race-winning pace underneath him, SVG looked at the 3-wide opportunity opening up ahead, calculated the risk, and pulled out of the move. He dropped back. Clean decision. Smart racing. Austin Hill locked up the rear brakes. That one mechanical moment, brakes that grabbed too hard, a pedal pushed a fraction too long, sent the entire restart sideways. Hill missed the turn 1 apex completely, pushed wide up the track, and drove Connor Zilisch straight into the outside wall. SVG had nowhere to go. He collected Hill from behind, spun, and watched his car get destroyed in a crash he had already tried to avoid once. Ryan Blaney, Ty Gibbs, Daniel Suarez, Michael McDowell, Riley Herbst, John Hunter Nemechek, 9 cars in total got caught in the chain reaction. The outside wall in turn 1 took enough damage that NASCAR threw the red flag and spent 10 minutes repairing the barrier before racing could continue. For SVG and Zilisch, the race was already over. Hill's voice came through on the radio almost immediately. "Sorry guys, locked up the rear brakes." Short, factual, no argument. He knew exactly what happened and he said it out loud to his crew before the dust had even settled. That admission matters because it removes every gray area from the conversation. This was not a racing incident with competing interpretations. The driver himself confirmed the cause over team radio before anyone had finished spinning. What happened next told you everything about where SVG's head was. He drove his wrecked number 97 Chevrolet back toward the garage, and at some point during that drive, he pulled forward and reversed, positioning his damaged car directly in Hill's path as Hill tried to move his own wreck away from the scene. No words, no gestures, just 2 tons of Chevrolet used as a very deliberate message. When SVG reached the infield care center and the media surrounded him, he gave them nothing useful. "Ask the next guys," he said. The only other thing he offered was, "I'm filthy." Zilisch was more direct, calling Hill's move egregious. not aggressive, not a racing incident, not unfortunate, egregious. That is a specific word chosen by a specific person who wanted to be understood clearly. Hill did not speak to the Cup media after the crash. SVG scored 1 point from the entire San Diego weekend. He dropped 3 positions in the standings to 17th, 5 points below the chase cut line. For context on how brutal that number is, just 18 points separate the drivers sitting 14th through 19th in the standings right now. Every single point that vanished in that turn 1 crash is sitting on a scale that currently tips against him. Now go back 1 week to Pocono Raceway, because San Diego did not happen in isolation. The Great American Getaway 400 at Pocono, lap 47, SVG running hard alongside Josh Berry in the middle of a 3-wide battle coming off turn 3. Austin Hill sent it down the inside to make it 3 across on a section of track where 3 across has no margin to breathe. Hill pushed up, the stack compressed, Berry hit the outside wall. The chain reaction that followed collected SVG, Brad Keselowski, Bubba Wallace, Joey Logano, Noah Gragson, and Christopher Bell. 9 cars again. Same rough number, same outcome for the number 97. SVG was out of another race he had not wrecked himself out of. The fan reaction after Pocono was loud. Plenty of people pointed at Hill, but one incident in isolation still carries the benefit of the doubt. Racing is hard. Pocono is a strange triangle. 3-wide battles collapse all the time. The garage moved on. Then San Diego happened and the benefit of the doubt ran out. This is the part that the wreck footage itself cannot show you. When SVG sat down in front of his camera on Tuesday, 2 days after the race back in Los Angeles doing Red Bull Athlete Center activities with his team, he was not reacting. He had already processed everything. He was making a decision. Still pretty shitty after the weekend, he said. 2 weeks in a row, taken out by the same spud. It sucked. Calm delivery, no raised voice, no dramatic pause. Just a driver who had run the calculation and decided that the garage needed to hear the pattern named out loud by the person living it. That clip landed on X and did not stop moving. The word spud is the part everyone focused on first, which is understandable, but the word that actually carries the weight of that sentence is same. Same spud, same result, same driver walking away while SVG's race crew loads a destroyed car onto the hauler. 1 crash is a bad day. 2 crashes in consecutive weeks involving the same person is a documented problem, and SVG just documented it publicly with a casualness that somehow made it hit harder than any pit road confrontation could have. Understanding why this callout landed the way it did requires understanding who SVG actually is as a competitor. This is not a driver who runs hot. He does not fire off on the radio when he gets a bad pit stop. He does not walk across pit road looking for arguments after a bump. His reputation across 6 years of international motorsport, supercars, rallycross, and now Cup is of a driver who processes everything internally and expresses himself through pace. When he talks publicly about another driver in those terms, the garage takes notice precisely because it is so rare. Austin Hill is a different kind of competitor entirely. He is a Cup lifer who came up through the trucks in the Xfinity series the hard way, won races at multiple levels, and finally landed a full-time Cup ride at RCR in one of the most emotionally complicated circumstances the sport has seen in recent memory. He is carrying the weight of a program that lost its driver in May and has been rebuilding its identity ever since. His Saturday win in the O'Reilly race at San Diego was genuinely moving. He dedicated it to the entire RCR organization, honored Kyle Busch in his post-race celebration, and for about 12 hours represented everything the team needed him to represent. The problem is that Hill also has a history that the sport cannot keep ignoring. At Indianapolis in a prior season, NASCAR penalized him 5 laps for intentionally hooking Aric Almirola into the outside wall and then handed him a 1-race suspension, stripping every playoff point he had accumulated. That is not a gray area penalty. That is NASCAR deciding a driver's actions crossed a line that the rulebook does not allow. 2 consecutive multi-car wrecks with his name at the center of the incident report does not automatically make Hill the same driver who got suspended, but it does mean the pattern conversation is not coming from nowhere. The manufacturer angle adds another layer that most coverage is skipping. Both SVG and Hill drive Chevrolets. Both are under the General Motors tent. This is not a cross-manufacturer rivalry with Ford or Toyota as a backdrop. This is 2 Chevy programs colliding with each other, which means there is no manufacturer PR firewall to hide behind and no rival brand to redirect the narrative toward. When this plays out at Sonoma on Sunday, it will be Chevrolet versus Chevrolet on the last road course of the 2026 regular season, and everyone in the Bowtie family will be watching. SVG is the defending Sonoma winner. He dominated that race in 2025 in a way that felt almost unfair, leading 96 of 100 laps from pole position, making the entire field look like they were on a different compound. He knows every inch of that 1.99 mile track. He has already won there in the O'Reilly Series as well, giving him 2 wins across 3 total National Series starts at the venue. Sonoma is the closest thing to a home track advantage that a driver without an actual home state track can manufacture in Cup racing. Austin Hill is also entered at Sonoma, both the O'Reilly race on Saturday and the Cup race on Sunday. They will share the same piece of California road course twice before the weekend is finished. That matters because their history at Sonoma already carries a charge. In 2024, SVG pushed Hill aside at Sonoma to take a win, and Hill made his feelings about it visible after the race. There is existing friction on that specific piece of tarmac, and now it arrives loaded with 2 fresh incidents and a public call-out sitting between them. What this feud represents beyond the 2 drivers is the real story. SVG is a road course specialist in a points format that no longer rewards specialists with automatic playoff berths. The 2026 chase system reset everything. Wins do not guarantee the postseason anymore. Points do. SVG won at Watkins Glen in May. Under the old format, that win put him in the playoffs automatically. Under the current format, it simply added to a points total that 2 Austin Hill incidents have now chipped away at. He is one bad Sonoma result away from watching the chase begin without him, despite being one of the most genuinely talented drivers the sport has seen in years. Hill is fighting for legitimacy in a seat that carries enormous emotional weight and a fan base that is still grieving. The pressure on that number 33 car is not just about lap times and pit strategy. It is about proving that RCR made the right call, that the program can move forward, and that Hill belongs at this level on merit. 2 consecutive multi-car wrecks and a very public call-out from one of the sport's most respected road course competitors does not help that case. Sonoma is this Sunday. The cut line is 5 points away. The road courses are gone after this weekend. Whatever happens in wine country writes the next chapter of this story, whether both drivers want it to or not. Drop your prediction in the comments. Does SVG close it out at Sonoma and let his lap times do the talking? Or does this weekend add another chapter to a feud that is only 3 weeks old and already has the whole garage watching?